Good evening, everyone, distinguished panelists, participants, colleagues, and partners. On behalf of the organizers, it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's Ghana Digital Innovation Week webinar series hosted in collaboration with the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research as part of the RoadToGDIW 2025 series. Today's focus will be all about learning from the success of research commercialization and how we can replicate, scale up, and bridge the gaps between research and industry. And so our theme for the evening is research commercialization and Ghana's development agenda. By way of background, the Ghana Digital Innovation Week, short for GDIW, was inaugurated in 2021 to showcase and celebrate achievements in Ghana's digital ecosystem. Since then, GDIW has grown into a catalytic national platform for innovation, bringing together all stakeholders, including innovators, policymakers, researchers, and individuals like you and I. This year, GDIW is focusing on how innovation can generate sustainable jobs and unlock inclusive growth. So the road to GDIW has been redesigned to include a series of webinars that will educate us and inform and inspire us all ahead of the main events in November. But why this conversation, you may ask? As often we say in Ghana, we have the men and women. Ghana has outstanding researchers, innovators, and entrepreneurs. For research, Ghana produces strong research, yet too much of the promise of research outputs are often lost between the linkage between research and industry. So to change that, Ghana's innovation landscape must function as a system, a well-coordinated system. And so today we will unpack how that system has to work and how it has worked in some instances and how we can scale up from these success stories. For this, we shall be hearing from the CSIR, which is the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. CSIR has 13 institutes and is nationally mandated to conduct research across all fields of Ghana's development. We shall hear today from the CSIR FRI and the IIR, which is the Food Research Institute and the Institute of Industrial Research. By way of introductions, I am Abdullah Mahama, the moderator for this evening. For today's agenda, we'll take a quick look at what we are going to do. We'll have two presentations, first from the FRI on building research and industry within the food system, and next from IIR on empowering Ghanaian industries. Each of these presentations will be followed by a Q&A section where you can ask questions. But then this is how it's going to go. We would ask you to put all your questions, all your comments, all your interactions, all your experiences into the comments box. And during the Q&A session, I'll read them out to our panelists and they shall give us answers. Also, feel free to introduce yourself and your institution so that we know who is here. All right. So to begin, I shall introduce our chair. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Mary, our chairperson for today, to set the stage and officially open the webinar. Dr. Mary is a principal research scientist and former deputy director at the CSIR STEPRI, where she leads research at the interaction of food safety, nutrition, and agricultural digitalization. She has over 30 journal publications and over 20 years of research experience. She also has a PhD in rural sociology from Wageningen University. Okay, to not spend so much time, if you know Dr. Mary, she is recently famous for helping in the production of Ghana's aflatoxin policy. We will talk more about aflatoxin later. But Dr. Mary, over to you now and usher us into the beginning of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdallah for the introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I warmly welcome you to this webinar, jointly organized by the CSIR, Science and Technology Policy Research Institute, and the Impact Investing Ghana. This webinar forms part of a series of activities being undertaken in preparation towards the Ghana Digital and Innovation Week. Last year, CSIR STEPRI supported the Digital Innovation Week celebration, and we are glad to be on board this year as well. The CSIR, as we heard from Mahama, is the foremost research organization established in Ghana, mainly to conduct applied research to solve our socioeconomic problems. CSIR has 13 institutes and over 60 field stations and research centers across the country. Over the years, we have expanded our thematic focus in line with our changing needs. Currently, our research activities focus on 7 thematic areas. So we have food security and poverty reduction, climate change, environmental conservation, and green technology. We are into biomedical and public health. We are also into energy and petroleum, electronics and ICT, material science and manufacturing, and then science and people. So you see that CSIR, we are really positioned to tackle most of the socioeconomic challenges we have in the country. And the host of this webinar, that is the CSIR Science and Technology Policy Research Institute, is one of the 13 institutes of the CSIR. Our mandate is to conduct research to inform policy formulation and implementation for socioeconomic development on the basis of science, technology, and innovation. We connect more with people, be it policymakers, industry players, the general public, and so on. So CSIR, we are really positioned to address most of our challenges. The main challenge we have experienced all over the years is the low uptake of our technologies and research outputs. We have developed so much, we are doing a lot. Yet when it comes to the uptake, we have some challenges. Nevertheless, we have chalked some successes, especially in the way we are currently connecting with SMEs through training and other capacity building initiatives. In today's webinar, we have 2 distinguished experts from 2 CSIR institutes, that is the Food Research Institute and then the Institute of Industrial Research, to share with us the innovative approaches that they are implementing to get their research technologies to users. Mr. Moderator, I warmly accept to chair the webinar, and I look forward to an exciting engagement with the presenters and the audience. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Murray. As you said, CSIR has been successful in connecting with SMEs. And so today we'll be hearing from 2 brilliant presentations from 2 brilliant presenters. First, we'll hear from Mr. Thomas Naja on bridging the gap between research and industry, the case of CSIR Food Research Institute. Mr. Thomas is a senior marketing officer and currently the head of commercialization at CSIR Food Research Institute. He has over 15 years experience in marketing, commercialization, and innovation. Currently, he has a BSc and an MBA in marketing from the University of Ghana Business School with thesis in marketing practices of SMEs. He holds a professional certificate from the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana. He has been part of the trainers in various projects, including Maximizing Agriculture in Ghana, which is the popular MAG. He has also led CSIR FRI to earmark 32 training models for the various industries. He has led in the training of over 5,000 entrepreneurs in Ghana and in the West African sub-region, and co-authored 6 publications, including 1 in brewing and 5 in marketing. We'll hear from Mr. Naja now on bridging the gap between research and industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdullah. Can you please share my slide? Right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Thomas Naja. I'm the head of commercialization at CSR Food Research Institute. Let me take this opportunity to invite you to our food fair that is coming up from 15th to 17th of October this year. It's an opportunity for us all to share our entrepreneurial products and technologies. Thank you very much. My theme for today is bridging gaps between research and industry, and I'm going to use CSR Food Research Institute as a case study. The following will be my outline. 1, research in contemporary terms. 2, the importance is the basic and the second one, in order to widen people's knowledge in the natural world. It involves the gathering and recording of knowledge to find answers to challenges and questions that humans pose every day. This implies that the basic research, at the end of the day, the outcome is not necessarily will be converted into a snapshot to solve problem. It is added value, or it will be added to the already existing knowledge in the world. So a scientist can publish this in the scientific journal for his peers to see. Applied science, on the other hand, is the outcome of which is supposed to be converted into a snapshot, either a product, service, or technology to solve peculiar problems. So, for instance, there was a need to do a research to find out which food babies from exclusive breastfeeding to start taking. So CSR Food Research Institute, in 15 years ago, came out with what is known as Winimis or winner, and now Ceramis, depending on your target market. Now, let's see the importance of marketers in the applied research today. In the marketing mix or 7 Ps, we have product, price, people, place, physical evidence, processes, and promotion. I want to single out people in it, which is also known as the internal employees or internal customers of an organization. So the people here, I want to stand on to link it to the marketers. And Kotler explained that organization needs the right people to identify the right people in the market to be able to deliver the right product and service to them. So in this case, what a marketer is supposed to do in a project, and for that matter, an applied research, is that at the end of the day, he will have to do the following. The first thing is that when R&D develop their products, it is taken through what is known as customer accessibility tests, where people are trained and their answers are controlled based on the range given to them, maybe from 0 to 10. Say this, say that. But when the product comes out, a marketer is supposed to do what is known as market orientation. And market orientation here is the business approach that focuses on the understanding and meeting the customer needs and wants. So we can't just take the product to the market to sell. We need to identify what the customer needs, and then we sell to them. So in this case, we have customer focus, where we need to understand the customer needs, preferences, and their behavior. We have market research here, where we gather the data and we analyze it. In the data, we'll be able to know the market trends, the competitors, and the customer insights, also known as consumerism. Let me be practical here. For example, basically what we mean by market orientation is that you pick the product, you identify some 10 shops, when you go there, identify the owner, the seller, and maybe the manager of that shop. Give it to them, eat them free. Take this to your loyal customers as well. At the end of, 2 weeks' time, at the end of the day, you will gather information that you need to embed in that product that you need. At that time, the product is not yet ready for the market, but you need to embody it or come out with all the suggestions about the product. You'll be selling what the customer needs to them rather than selling what you have to the customers. Now it's being developed. So at the end of the day, the product will be fully developed and the customers or clients or consumers will need it. The next slide. Now let's see what CSR research do to bridge gaps between the industry and the research. As the organizer said, or the chairperson said, CSR Research Institute is also one of the 13 institutes of the CSR, and our mandate is to conduct market-oriented applied research into problems of food processing and preservation, food utilization, food storage, food marketing and distribution, food safety, and then we think of national food security. Let's go. Now, the following are our scope of research or our thematic areas. We have roots and tubers, fish, meat and dairy, cereal grains, spices, chocolate and confectionery, fruit, vegetables and research, technology and business incubation. We have accredited laboratory facility, and now CCST, which is CSR Council for CSR College of Science and Technology. We have a campus at CSR Research Institute here. Let's go. Now, as I said, we wanted to develop a food product that children immediately after exclusive breastfeeding will feed on. So the product that came out was converted. The outcome of the project was converted into a product called cereal mix now. It used to be Winnie Mix and came to Winner. But we realized that any parent who is feeding the child will also eat some. And we realized
have lost Mr. Naja, but he was giving us a presentation of CSIR FIR's innovations. And so I think we can let Mr. Naja hold on. I don't know if Dr. Drew would be open to step in now so that we carry on with the meeting without losing time. Then I'll prompt Mr. Naja and he can work on his internet and rejoin. Mr. Drew, please, are you open to be in?
Yes, Abdallah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll quickly introduce Dr. Drew to give a presentation from his end. So Dr. Drew is a principal research scientist and currently the Deputy Director of CSIR, Institute of Industrial Research, which we call IIR. He has over 25 years experience in research with interest in material circularity and innovative green technologies. He has a Doctor of Philosophy in Inorganic Chemistry from the University of Oxford in the UK. His thesis was on surface science, nanomaterials, and heterogeneous catalysis. Dr. Drew's career as a research scientist has been marked by significant affiliation with reputable institutions, including Lancaster University, UK, through collaborations and partnership. His research interests encompasses a diverse range of topics, including the development of advanced materials for applications in energy and innovative use of water materials into functional materials in circularity. His work has practical implications for industry and environmental sustainability, and he has co-authored over 50 publications, 25 of them being peer-reviewed and in international reputable journals. Dr. Odro will be speaking to us on empowering Ghanaian industries, how CSIR, IIR have been doing it. So I think, Dr. Odro, you have the floor now, and we'll take your presentation. Mr. Naja will continue after we are done with your Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abdallah, for the very kind introduction. And let me take this opportunity also to kind of thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to share in this very august forum, and also to kind of share some of the successes that we have had in how innovative solutions, which are outputs of research, has impacted Ghanaian industries. So as part of my outline, I'll be looking mainly at giving a gist about what we do at CSIR Institute of Industrial Research. And then I'll also take the opportunity to zoom into some of the very demonstrable successes that we have achieved in terms of how innovative solutions have impacted directly the production cycle of Ghanaian industries. I'll be grateful if, thank you very much. So for a brief of who CSIR Institute of Industrial Research is, as have been said earlier, we are part of the Greater Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, one of the 13 research institutes. And we pride ourselves to be the foremost engineering research institution in Ghana. And our vision is to be a provider of technological solutions to life's challenges. So in our vision, we are not looking at just giving products or processes, but we are looking at providing tailor-made solutions that really impact directly on the successes of industry. In terms of mandate, our mandate is to drive national development and global competitiveness in Ghanaian industries through scientific and technological research. Usually, for any industrialization program to be very successful, it depends on how it thrives on linking a number of several sectors which all work in a symbiotic relationship to ensure that that industrial program becomes successful. However, in CSI Institute of Industrial Research, we have identified 5 main areas, which is the focus of our research. And the areas are in energy, sustainable energy for industry. We look at how much industry would also be able to have access to raw materials. And we look at waste, how industry can deal efficiently with waste. And of course, industry would require some tools and machinery for them to be able to work efficiently. So we look at how we help industry to maintain their tools and machinery, or also to manufacture tools and machinery that would make sure that their work becomes more productive. And last but not the least, we work on quality assurance in order to ensure that the products of Ghanaian industry meet international standards. Who are our people? We have a workforce of about 117 staff, and I'm proud to say that we are an orchestrated symphony of human potential. And of all these 117 staff, 15% of them have PhDs, and about 31% have masters. So which means that we have a very highly motivated and qualified staff. And for an institution that is involved in the space of engineering and physical sciences, we are also very happy that we have a good mix of gender. About 30% of our senior members happen to be females. Another important driver for any successful, for us to be able to achieve our vision is partnerships. So in terms of partnerships, we work closely with academic and research institutions, both public and private, and also local and foreign. We also have close working relationships with policy makers and also regulators. And then the last, but most importantly, we pride ourselves in working with the private sector, both the business aspect of private sector and also what I call the third sector, which involves CSOs, NGOs, community-based organizations, in order to make sure that our research products make the necessary impact. So permit me now to zoom in straight into some of the products that we have developed in IIR and how it is impacting directly on industry success. Now, I'll start off with waste. Waste generally is inevitable in any industrial production. However, it is the ability of the industry to deal efficiently with the waste that defines whether the industry will be sustainable or would eventually have to fold up. So we are keen on providing technologies that ensure material circularity and also making sure that we harness every potential that we can get from waste. And permit me to share our first success story, which was a partnership between Jekura Ventures, which is an environmental service provider, and the International Water Management Institute, which is also a research institution, which is private. And the main aim was, how do we transform liquid waste and also the volume of organic solid waste, municipal organic solid waste, into a useful product that would ensure that we treat waste and at the same time we provide organic fertilizer that would fuel farms. So IIR was keen in developing some of the machinery that is driving the industry currently. So the fortified fertilizer, which is purely an organic fertilizer, is powered on machinery that has been designed and fabricated by the CSI Institute of Industrial Research. In the waste profile, it is also possible to come across non-biodegradable waste, which sometimes tend to be environmentally harmful. And a typical example of it is the hazardous waste that is associated with both our medical industry, hospitals, and medical facilities. And then also, one typical one is the Volta Aluminium Company. The Volta Aluminium Company is a smelter. They smelt aluminium. And one of their main products, or one of their main raw materials, is the pith. And the pith is actually a fossil carbon product, but has a very high phosphorus content. Disposing these pit bags in a normal landfill would cause the fluoride to leach into the underground water and has huge implications on potability of water. So they contacted the CSI Institute of Industrial Research to deal with this hazardous waste, which is also highly combustible. And we designed a 3.5 metric ton per day mechanized incinerator, which kind of safely combusts all their hazardous waste together with all the municipal solid waste that is generated in the plant at very high temperatures, over 1,000 degrees Celsius. And the retention time of the flue gases in the combustion chamber is also long enough to ensure that there is no release of harmful gases like the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons or the fluorines associated with combustion of plastics into the atmosphere. We were also key in providing incineration solutions for hospitals and holding centers during the COVID outbreak, in treating the waste so that we don't have reinfection as a result of people getting in touch with waste that has been contaminated by pathogens. So from waste, let me zoom in straight into equipment and tools. Like I said, industry runs on efficiency, and efficiency is built on having the right tools and having the right equipment. So the CSI Institute of Industrial Research also have a foundry and a machining center, which provides solutions in terms of manufacturing high quality precision parts, which reduces the downtime of industry. And then we also provide kind of simple tools that helps industry to be able to work well. So on your slide, you see a foundry center where technicians are smelting metal and they are using it to fabricate parts cut by a CNC center that fits directly into machines that are down because of maybe some parts breaking down. And instead of placing an order and asking your order to be freighted from outside and getting to Ghana and all the challenges that would come with it, our system ensures that the downtime of your factory becomes as low as possible. So these are some of the flanges that we manufactured in our institute to support industry. And on this slide, you see some parts of tractors and heavy machinery equipment, which broke down and then we fabricated, taking into consideration the quality of the material. So our material scientists and our metallurgists work to make sure that we select materials that meet the American standard for testing methods. So it's internationally recognized in terms of quality. And then also we go into providing simple machinery that helps industry to deal with their peculiar challenges. I'm pleased to highlight quite a modest equipment, but which is also very functional and is achieving significant results. And that is the heavy-duty hand mower. Usually, our mowers on the market are designed to handle well-manicured, lawns. So when you have a non-manicured lawn, terrains where you have shrubs growing or the weeds growing to certain heights, it makes it difficult for the hand mowers to be able to handle such situation. Also, the tractor mowers may not be able to maneuver through some of these tight areas like the curbs of high streets and our highways. So we designed a handheld heavy-duty mower that runs on a 6 horsepower engine that will be able to deal with such treacherous terrains, which includes cutting shrubs that are about 5 centimeters thick and making sure that the terrains are kept clean. Energy is quite crucial, and industry thrives on energy, affordable, clean energy, in order to be productive. And energy needs to be clean because unclean energy usage has implications both on the environment and also on the human health of people that are within that manufacturing environment. So I'm pleased to highlight one of our technologies, which really goes into making sure that the national LPG cylinder recirculation model becomes very operational. Our audience may be able to identify with the disaster that happened at the Atomic Junction and also at the Latrate Fair Center, where a cylinder filling station exploded, putting a lot of people in harm's way. So much as we want clean energy and we want the energy close to us as possible, we are also worried about safety. So we got in touch with Express Gas, which is a player in the LPG space that deals with providing clean energy, affordable energy. And their main problem was dealing with the ergonomics of having to carry these heavy cylinders around and the safety of transporting the cylinders through the streets of Accra and the urban centers. So we developed a safety cage and also trolleys that centers the weight of the cylinder, not on the arms of the cylinder bearer, but on the fulcrum of the cylinder, that makes sure that workers, their health is secured and also their safety is secured. So that is one typical example of how our intervention in the energy space is helping to ensure that there is safe and efficient delivery of LPG in Ghana. Sometimes dealing with the nexus of efficiency in the Ghanaian industry is not only limited to providing products or providing hardware systems, but sometimes designing an efficient system that will be able to help these industries navigate away from areas where they have challenges. So our industrial assessment team has a system where we use artificial intelligence and data systems to be able to leverage or get enough data that will be able to identify gaps in industry. After identifying the gaps in the industry, we work closely with the industry to also be able to optimize their process and their production process. We also move into the realm where we look at eliminating any bottlenecks that brings about waste and also using the Six Sigma methodology to be able to deal with those bottlenecks and also ensure that there is real-time repair and maintenance, ensuring industry runs smoothly. We also conduct risk assessment in industry in order to make sure that industry is very efficient. And all these things culminate in the fact that there is a demonstrable improvement in the quality of the products, there is cost efficiency, and then the market is satisfied. So let me give a simple example of the analogy that I just shared. Industry may have challenge with defects. You may have a bottling company in which some of their machines are filling bottles either not to the right level or either above or below the right level. And all these things have cost implications on the industry. If that industry exists in a monopolistic market, the tendency would be to pass on the cost to the customer. However, in a Ghanaian setting where most industries operate in a very competitive environment, there is a limit to which cost you can pass it on. And therefore, it only leads into kind of a reduction in your profit margins. And sometimes it may lead to the company entirely folding up. So what solution does the IIR provide? The IIR provides a solution using the artificial narrow intelligence technology, which is an AI technology built to use Excel to be able to serve and to excel in the cognitive ability of simple machines. So at least we have a machine that will be able to detect that your bottle is filling or it's not filling to the right levels. And it is because this particular equipment or this particular motor, after running for certain cycles, trips off. And that is what leads to subsequent filling becoming either underfilled or overfilled. And we use the Six Sigma methodology to be able to navigate through all this heavy data so that we would be able to help the industry to identify first and foremost where the defects are so that they can reduce the error, they minimize variations, and then they can increase on the quality and efficiency of production. This intervention has helped 2 companies. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to mention their names because I sought clarification from them before this presentation, but I didn't get the clarification before this presentation. So I'll just mention their names in a generic form. It is a roofing sheet manufacturing company and a food processing company, which we helped in order to remove all the bottlenecks associated with their processes. And now they are operating profitably. One may ask, but what really is the effect of an innocuous, slight increase in volume of a liquid that is, or of a beverage that is being produced? Let me give an analogy. Assuming you have a bottling company that produces about 1 million bottles of beverages in a month, and 10% of their bottling process has a defect in the sense that they are overfilling the margin. Let's say they are producing a 500 milliliters level of beverage, and they are overfilling this 500 milliliters level bottle by, let's say, even 10 milliliters. It may look very marginal and inconsequential, but if you look at it in terms of the whole production cycle, that 1 million bottles accounts to about 100,000 bottles that are being overfilled. If 100,000 bottles are being overfilled by 10 mils, that comes to about 1,000 liters of beverage that is unaccounted for in the production cycle. The effect is that either you would pass it on to your consumer, but in the case where the consumer has options and you cannot pass it on, it leaves you with very limited space. And that is where any slight increment in terms of utility bills, the company will not be able to absorb it because your profit margins are already narrowed. However, if you are able to use our AI technology to be able to correct all these bottlenecks and improve efficiency, you would realize that the company will be in good position to be able to absorb very slight margins or be able to absorb slight increases in utility, and would not always have the tendency of passing on to the clients. Now, let me zoom in to one technology which I'm fond of because of its simplicity and at the same time, how it applies directly to our everyday life. Drinking water or safe drinking water is part of the Sustainable Development Goal and it's a fundamental human right. But the science shows that contamination of drinking water takes place about 100 meters to the point of consumption. So oftentimes, there is no problem with their production. There are no problems with the delivery lines. But when the water gets to the end point of use, the process of getting the water to drink, that is where there is contamination. Either it is coming from hands that are not too clean, or it is coming from hands that were not washed after visiting a sanitation area. And that is where single-use plastics came in. So they came in to solve a problem with hygiene relating to consuming water. However, the menace of single-use plastics is so overwhelming that I don't need to waste much time on that. So I'm sure a lot of us, our audience, will be familiar with children going to school with their bottled water in their bags. But that also comes with its problem. The problem of keeping the bottled water clean, and at the same time, the problem of also getting some of your books wet because the bottles may leak. And once it is stored in a bag together with textbooks and exercise books, they get wet. It's a problem which many parents would identify with. So we partnered with a water company that was serving a small community school in the Adenta area, who were interested in reducing, first and foremost, the waste that the school children waste the water, because many of them would either fetch the water beyond how much they will be able to consume, or they tend to contaminate the water. So we designed an automated water dispenser with an Internet of Things attached to the dispenser, such that when the levels of the water goes low, it sends an information with the water provider and is able to replace it before the water runs out completely. And the school is very happy, and the water provider is also very happy. Now, for an industry to...
Doc, sorry, please, can you be wrapping up for us?
All right.
Time. Yeah.
You need also to have metrology systems, the science of measurement. What is the implication? Assuming you have a pharmaceutical company that is using a balance that is not calibrated, and they are producing, let's say, vitamin C, and they say, oh, it contains 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. However, by their weighing, actually, it is 1,010 milligrams. What it will mean is that you'll be serving clients with products in an overdose form, which has health implications. So our metrology system helps industry to calibrate most of their equipment, which helps them to stay in the marketplace and also comply with regulators' demand. To wrap up, I want to acknowledge the gallant staff of the CSI Institute of Industrial Research, many of them whose products I had the opportunity of presenting at this forum. And I want to thank you for your attention. You may have some time to visit our website also explore our social media handles. You can also contribute to the CSI Science for Impact Fund by making a direct contribution. Thank you very much for your attention.
All right. Thank you very much, Doc, for that insightful presentation. And thank you to all the gallant staff of CSIR IIR. Those are very marvelous innovations. And so we'll take questions now from the chats. They'll pop up on the screen and I'll read them. Okay, so I think the first one, okay, it's not really linked to your presentation, but then it's one of Ghana's leading issues now. And so it's on Galamsey. Any thought on this? How IIR can help in this cause?
Absolutely. Galamsey is key, and the mining industry really is key. The question is that how do you stop Galamsey? Usually, we have tried stopping Galamsey by sending human beings to where the Galamsey activity is taking place, and they've been compromised. And that is the reason why it's become more difficult. However, we can use technology to go around this. Some of the technology, I must say, has been employed already in the sense that some of the tractors have trackers, that excavators have trackers that kind of make sure that you can monitor its activity. We can also use artificial intelligence, AI, followed by laser systems to be able to map up our forest zone such that if anyone is moving into a forest zone, straight away there could be a beep that would send information to a control center that someone is encroaching. And all these things are technology which are available. We just have to adapt them to suit a particular setting. But will require a lot of collaboration with a lot of the players that are in the enforcement system, such as the Minerals Commission, the EPA, perhaps also with the Ghana Armed Forces, so that we can together build a robust technology that will be free from compromise by human beings. Thank you.
Okay. I'm seeing a suggestion of taking Mr. Naja before we take all the questions combined. I don't know if he's ready now. But, okay. Mr. Naja is not in yet. Okay. Okay, he's in here. I think to make the conversation interesting, we'll just take the additional 10 minutes of Mr. Naja's presentation. Then we'll come back and we'll have a very open discussion from both panelists. So I think we'll move on to Mr. Naja's presentation, if you can help me with that. All right, Mr. Naja, I think the last time you spoke, you were talking more about plantain fufu. So if you can carry on from there.
Yes. So a Ghanaian man or a woman will still want to eat fufu irrespective of where the fellow is. And because plantain is very perishable, there was a need to convert the outcome of such a project into a product like this. So when you look at this plantain fufu, because we've added value to it, it has a shelf life not less than a year. This one has reduced post-harvest losses. It's very convenient to carry. It is very safe. It reduces drudgery associated with traditional pounding. And this is also in line with Sustainable Development Goal 2, which talk about food security. And then SDG 12, which talk about responsible. These are some of the few that we have.
Okay. It looks Mr. Mega is still having issues with his internet.
Our shop at the moment. People can replace it in pastry industry. You can use high quality cassava flour alone to make bread, to make donuts, to make chin-chin and any other thing. We have aflatoxin-free granule paste. You see, because of aflatoxin, a cancerous chemical in which when too much of it can cause cancer in human beings. Because of that, international market wouldn't want to take our products. So CSR Food Institute came out with this training to train participants to how best they can produce or process granule paste or free from aflatoxin. Now, other technical services, you have product development. For instance, if let's say you were in America, you were somewhere, and there was a particular food you've seen or you've been eating over there, you came to Ghana, you haven't seen, come to my desk in CSR Food Research Institute. I will streamline your idea, link you up to a scientist who will develop such a product for you. So I've been telling people that when you see a particular product in your dream, don't say it is bad omen. Just bring it out. Come to my office, we'll streamline it and we'll develop it for you and you can patent it. We have product standardization. For instance, a client came to me that he's been exporting shito to Australia over 20 years, but now it gets moved anytime he does it. I told him hey, we're going to train him. He told me, no, he's been doing that. But I persuaded her and linked her up to a scientist. In fact, at the end of the day, she organized a party and I was invited. We have contract production where individuals and companies from all walks of life come for us to produce for them in bulk, in tons, for them to send it to international markets. We have analytical services where whoever wants to analyze or wants FDA Ghana to certify their products, the fellow will be linked up to CSR labs so that the results will be given to FDA and they certify the fellow. We have our own product, we have about 15 of them in our shop at the moment. We have online market as well. It is shop.foodresearchgh.org. Participants can Google and try it at the moment. You can order from that area. Now, which channels of communication do we use? Exhibition shows, especially AGR summits, Farmers' Day celebrations, these Ghana fairs, agri fairs, CSR food fairs, I talk about, industrial presentations like this, webinar series like this, meet the press series. We have TVs and radio shows. This year alone, we've been to over 8 TV shows and 4 radio programs. All these things help us to propagate our technology to the outside world. Now, what has been the results so far and the outcomes? Currently, CSR Food Research to have our product in United States of America, United Kingdom, and Canada markets. Just last February, United States of America, FDA visits us, and their mission was that they've seen our product in their market and they have to trace it to see what we do here. In fact, they were really impressed with what we are doing. And we are happy to tell you that when you go to America and other international markets, our technology and for that matter, our products are there. Now, since COVID, after COVID, we'll be able to train over 5,000 entrepreneurs in various training programs. And about 60% of them have started establishing their work through these training programs. And this is also in line with SDG 8, who also talk about economic growth. Then currently to our demand for the demand for FRA products and services keep on soaring. For instance, our CCST intake is very high. Just last week, management, and for that matter, management of CCST in Food Research Institute interviewed about 13 PhD prospective students who will be admitted this year. Challenges. In fact, I'm sure this cut across all CSR institutes. Lack of funding for research work. If government can spend at least 1% of our GDP to research, I think we can do exploits. Lack of modern equipment for our work. CSR food institutes like this, we are building a legume facility in which it will be ready. We'll be positioning ourselves for this 24-hour economy. We need modern equipment to be able to do that. Now, I've captured these two. There's a gap between CSR scientists and the marketers, because researchers, they have their approach. Other alternative views. I remember I went to Kumasi, one of the institutes in Kumasi, to attend an exhibition. When I got there, my colleague over there didn't even know anything about such a program. So you see, we think our scientists should bring us on board so that at the end of the day, we can all do exploit in CSR. I think I have to end here, and I'm sorry for the break. This is just the technology for you. Thank you very much, and good evening.
Mr. Naja, for that presentation. And yes, sometimes technology fails. We are sorry, listeners. And so I think we'll open it up again. Dr. Odro will join us, and we'll open up for the questions. Okay. All right, I think we'll start taking the questions now. All right, we have some from the audience. I think on your last comment, you're talking about the issues of funding, and someone has just asked, Emmanuel Goka is asking, how much of the national budget is devoted for research? We'll take a series of 3 questions or comments, then I'll let the presenters attend to it. How much of our research budget comes from the government? Ryan Osei Sibe is asking, do you do the research and come out with a product and conduct surveys to modify to meet consumer preference, or you conduct the surveys to solicit for consumer preference, then head to the lab to start the research? We'll take the last one. What is IIR doing in the space of solar applications? And so, and renewable energy generally. And so for the solar applications and renewable energy, IIR can take it. For the funding, Mr. Naja, you can take that one. And both of you can have a say on the second question if you like. Thank you. Dr. Frimpong, sorry. Dr. Odro, you can go now.
Yeah, thank you very much. In terms of funding, I must say that we at CSR Institute of Industrial Research and CSR General is grateful to government that he pays our salaries. But apart from our salaries, that is it. Most other funding comes from the work of scientists to write proposals, and usually these are funded by donors from outside of the jurisdiction of Ghana, which I don't think it's too good. We are also working very hard to ensure that Ghanaian industries buy into research, and they also support us to be able to create some technologies that would help them to be more efficient. Because, he who pays the piper calls for the tune. So we need to impress on government the more to kind of activate the National Science Fund. You get it? I know that government has moved on to kind of finished with the bureaucracies of establishing it. But then the operationalization is what we are all eagerly waiting for. And I'm sure when we start with the operationalization, where government devotes specific quantum of money, then the impact of our research will be directly on the Ghanaian society, because, of course, they will be defining the paradigm for our research, which will be research that would impact directly on the Ghanaian society. In terms of solar, yes, CSR Institute of Industrial Research has been in the space of solar, designing solar systems, and then making sure that solar systems become more or less the byword and a sustainable energy source within the Ghanaian space. Initially, people had problems with solar because people thought that it was just a matter of going to the market, buying some panels, and then you just put it on your rooftop and then you are good to go, without necessarily sizing out to look at what is your capacity for consumption. So if the capacity far out, or your consumption far outweighs the capacity of the solar, you are practically doing nothing. So, for instance, in IIR, we have gone into a lot of solar investment, and we have installed a system that is working as a grid-tie system, and it has brought our electricity bill down drastically. We are hoping to move to the point where we go off-grid completely and we go on solar. And it all depends on how well you'll be able to size your system, and then you'll be able to put in the infrastructure that will help you to be able to utilize solar more efficiently. Thank you.
Mr. Naja, yes, so there are two more questions. I think you can also touch on the funding if you want to. Then there was one question on how the research is done. If you go to the market to solicit what people want before you do the research, or you do the research, go to the market, ask people if it's good for them, then come to modify. All right.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. So let me add it to, I just want to touch on the research funding or the funding issues. For instance, I talk about the building we are doing here to be able to meet or position ourselves for 24-hour economy. We are relying solely on our IGF and then this Provident Fund source. If government should support us, that will take us far. And now let me tackle the marketing question. What's happening is that I said marketers are very important in R&D as well. So a marketer, an organization needs the right person, a right marketer to go to the market to identify the right people, help them to even identify their needs, and then you bring it to the R&D to come and package a product or service to solve their problem. That is within is still the product development stage. But when the product is also fully developed, there's a need to break into the market. That's where marketer will come in again to do what is called market orientation. That's the stage I explained, that you identify some shops, give the product for them to enjoy, come back for the feedback, and then you use their reports or their suggestions. You go back and embed it in the product again properly, so that in that case, you'll be selling what they want for them rather than selling what you have for them. So in two parts. During product development, you need to go out there to seek their views, come back. Okay. When the product is fully developed, then you go out there to break into the market as well. Thank you.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. But staying on marketing, I think I have a question myself. Audience, you can still put your questions in the chat box while I give this pretext. So on biochar, which we work with Dr. Drew, which is converting fecal slag into energy, we had this instance. So we went to one of the SMEs who were trying to get onto this biochar pilot stage. And we were talking with this SME, and she was sharing a concern. The concern was that at a time she wanted some kind of heating mechanism um, for her cream, which she does shea butter cream. But then she realized that she had gone through the market and she couldn't find a good heating stove that could do what she wanted. When she used LPG gas, it quickly burned, and when she used charcoal, it didn't burn as fast as enough. And so she ended up having to send her raw products outside Ghana to Dubai to get them heated and processed, then come back to Ghana before she adds the finishing oils and retouch. And so I'm going to pose this question to the both of you. If an innovator wants to approach IIR or FIR, how do they find the right expertise within your institute? How does the collaboration process look like? And which part do you most often use and recommend between you and innovators in terms of collaboration? So this is my question I'll pose to both of you. Any of you can go first.
All right, let
Okay,
me
thank you
let
very
me.
much.
Okay, Dr. Drew can go first. He started.
All right, thank you very much. You know, you rightly said it, and what in IR we have in place, we have what is termed the I squared hub, which is the innovation hub. And the idea of the innovation hub is to bring private sector closer to research institution as much as possible so that we can understand their problems. And then we can co-design and solve those problems. So if someone has a problem and wants IR to help them to develop, the first thing is that our doors are open. You can walk in at any time between 9 a.m. and even 6 p.m. And you speak to myself, the deputy director, or our marketing officer, or the director himself. And then we get into a memorandum of understanding, because usually we would want to have a non-disclosure agreement with the client or the partner, so that you get to understand that, okay, if we are developing a technology for you, what are the terms in terms of the intellectual property? So once we have understood and we've gone through all the parts, and then we have signed a memorandum of understanding, then we can link you up with a scientist who has expertise in that area, and they work closely with their clients. Abdallah, you will bear with me that we have worked closely with clients even in the development of the biochar. It is never an issue of we sitting in an isolated lab and tossing a product to a client and thinking that the client could buy into it straight away. What we do is that we sit down at the design stage with a client, we go through their challenges, and then we devise solutions together. And then when we are implementing the solutions, the client is aware of the processes that have gone through the development of the solution. So the uptake becomes much easier. So link us up with this person who is interested in developing stoves, because yes, our institute has a lot of competence in developing stoves that are efficient and that will be able to consume biomass in an efficient way and reduce the emission levels within the cook environment also. We have a regional cook stove testing laboratory, and it is one and only in the whole of West Africa. There are only two in the whole of Africa, and we are proud to be one of them, developing very good and testing stoves that will be able to deal with biomass. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Naja, if you can also touch on this.
So in CSR Food Research Institute, we have a session known as business development session. It's anybody from anywhere wants a technology, that is the desk that will go first. The marketers over there will streamline their ideas. At times, people come there for any other thing, not all, and those that are potential is within what the prospective client is looking for. And then, based on the conversation and the scope of work that will be involved, we come out with the charges that they pay.
Okay. So Mr. Niger's internet today is being a handful. Okay. So I think we have one more question from the audience. We'll take that. Dr. Drew, you can take that. When a client brings an idea and you co-design with him or her, who owns the intellectual property when a product is commercialized?
That's an interesting question. So the CSR General has an intellectual property policy. And based on the contribution towards the co-designing, we go into a sharing mechanism. And all these things will be outlined at the initial stage before even we say stuff. The reason is that we want to protect the client's interests and people who walk into CSR, their interests. We want to be sure that if they have some intellectual property, we as CSR do not appropriate it as ours. And also, if it is something that as CSR we have developed, they don't take it also for free. We've had experiences and we working hard to make sure that both our partners and then also the CSR, both the council and also even the employees of CSR are well catered for in terms of any intellectual property that is developed in the course of our work. So there is a whole intellectual property policy in the CSR that defines the nitty-gritties of how we deal with such issues. Thank you.
The conversation is getting interesting. We have one from Fadlu Mashoud. He's saying that cocoa peat is a good soil medium for vegetable production, but it's mostly based in southern Ghana. I think this would have been for Mr. Naja. Has your outfit researched into alternative soil media, especially using agro wastes from our farm?
Yes. Interestingly, even though we are an engineering institute, we also kind of try to work in the space of agriculture, particularly urban farming. So we develop greenhouses from local materials. And one important way of controlling pests within a greenhouse environment is the medium in which, the plants grow. If you use the normal soil, there is a tendency for you to carry out some of the viruses and the pathogens from the environment into your greenhouse, and the infection rate is going to be high. So we have worked on using the coconut husk, finding ways by which we can pulverize it and be able to create a medium that would be able to retain nutrients and at the same time support the growth of plants within a greenhouse environment. And we have personnel within that area that have the competence, and when you come and you talk with us, we'll be able to sit down together and find interesting alternatives that would help you to go to the market.
One last question from me. Mr. Naja will join to give his remarks after you go. What have been the key enablers and some difficult bottlenecks that you face in trying to commercialize these research findings?
Let me talk about the enablers.
Yeah.
The first key enabler is partnership. Partnership with the private sector. In fact, most of our technologies would not have been would have been on the shelves had it not been for the interest of the private sector. Because most of our research is mainly not service driven, it is demand driven. So the private sector would always come with a problem, and then we devise a solution, and out of the solution we come out with an innovation. Right. Then also one key enabler, I must say, has been regulators. I'm sorry to say, some private sector players would never adapt to technology if there is no one on their backside trying to make sure that they do the right thing. Either maybe they are polluting the environment and then they need to find a solution to it. As long as there is no policeman to ensure that they're doing the right thing, like we have in the Galamsey situation, they'll feel free to do the worst because they are trying to maximize profits. It is very natural. So the regulators, the Environmental Protection Agency, Energy Commission, the Ghana Standards Authority, Food and Drugs Authority, they have been key partners with us in ensuring that the private sector at least would be mindful that they need to find appropriate technologies that would deal either with a waste that they are having or with some equipment that needs calibration and will have to be done well. So these are the two key enablers, and we are hoping that with the 24-hour economy, our engagement with government will come on board and they would accept us as key partners in ensuring that factories that are going to run on the 24-hour economy go through proper assessment to ensure that they are going to be profitable. They are not just going to be factories that will be put up for factory's sake, but they will be profitable and in their operations. Now, what are the challenges? The key challenge, let me start with one which is quite you are aware of this, but let me start with that. It's cultural issues.
Okay.
You develop a solution, and for that solution to hit the market, there must be acceptability. We have developed biochar, a biofuel from fecal sludge, which works efficiently and effectively and comparable to any charcoal in Ghana. However, the challenge with uptake is that people cannot relate to the fact that they are going to use something that is coming from your pool to heat or cook something. But it's purely a cultural issue because the processes with which the biochar, the fecal sludge goes through before it becomes biochar, it neutralizes all pathogens, it neutralizes any other harmful hazards that could be associated with the pool. But why is it a challenge? Because of the mentality. It's the same issue with biogas. Biogas, particularly from fecal sludge. That is an efficient renewable energy system that could complement solar, because you cannot have solar 24/7. In the event in the evening when the sun is not there, you would require another form of renewable energy. And biogas is a very useful renewable energy system. However, people are still skeptical. Oh, I don't want to cook, or I don't want to have anything to do with something that is associated with waste. But waste becomes only a problem when there is no technology to deal with it. So I would say one of the key challenge has been the cultural issue.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Dro. I think we'll take Mr. Naja's last word. And I think on your question, before Mr. Naja comes in, Salisu Umar, instead of ordering machines from China, for instance, pyrolysis machine for recycling waste to diesel, can the CSIR build such machines? Yes, I can say yes, emphatically, as I was on a project with
Mr. Omar,
CSIR. Yes. On a project that is in Jankoba, we have another waste to energy project in the Ashanti region in Jankoba. And so, yes, CSIR IIR is well endowed to help in this. All right. Mr. Naja, we'll take your final words. I think we are wrapping up with time.
I thank the organizers for this opportunity, and I thank my management for allowing me to join this webinar. It's a learning curve, and I thank everybody. What I want to say is that our research scientists consider our marketers anytime you are developing a concept or a proposal. They can give you an alternative. When this is done, I think they can be able to, or they will be able to speak to any outcome that we want the industry to know. I thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. And I think I'll read this and extend it as to IIR, but I'll read it to and extend it to FIR. This has been very insightful. CSI IIR and extended to FIR has to market itself more to the private sector and development partners funded programs. Okay, so with this, thank you very much. I'll invite Dr. Murray to give us the closing remarks. This has been very insightful. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Dr. Murray.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, to our presenters, Dr. Drew and Mr. Naja, for sharing with us all the good things CSIR, IIR, and food research are doing. We heard from Dr. Drew's presentation how they are trying to develop engineering solutions to address critical problems that our industries are facing. Many of them are not making profits because of all this, inefficiency in their production. So if we have all these capabilities within the CSIR, then I think we really need to make use of our expertise to address these little challenges that is really impacting negatively on our industries. We also heard from Mr. Naja how Food Research Institute is first of all trying to address our post-harvest challenges, reducing food loss and food waste, and developing a lot of technologies trying to improve on our food and nutrition security. And all the approaches that they have been using, from training MSMEs, contract production, and all that. So I can say that Ghana will not have any problem if we really make use of our research institutions. So as one of the audience said, we need to really market ourselves. I know we are doing it, but we can do better. And this webinar is one of the ways we market all the things we are doing. So let's get involved in this digital innovation week celebration in November. I invite all of you to attend, come and see all the innovation, because innovation is not an innovation if it is not being used for our socioeconomic benefits. It is only when we use them that we can really call them innovations. So thank you all very much to our cherished audience for all your questions and the interactions. Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Umari. As you rightly say, innovation is, the system is complete when we are all involved. So on that note, let me extend a heartfelt thank you to all our panelists, Dr. Drew and Mr. Naja, for the depth and clarity on your insights, and to our chair, Dr. Rosa Murray, for gracing today's conversation. To everyone that joined our GDIW community, partners and guests, thank you for your active engagements. Your questions have really shaped, and your comments have really shaped today's session. So tonight has reinforced a clear message. Research commercializations work when the system works. As we continue the road to GDIW 2025, let's carry tonight's lessons into our research labs, innovation hubs, boardrooms, and move it all faster from research to results. Let's keep that conversation going on GDIW channels on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on X. You can share your takeaways from this meeting. And on behalf of GDIW and CSIR STEPRI and CSIR, IIR, and FIR, CSIR as a whole, Thank you once again. I am Abdullah Mahama. I think you can search for my name on LinkedIn, Abdullah Mahama. We can engage more. And if you need access to the panelists, you can reach out to me and I'll link you to them. All right. Thank you very much and see you at the GDIW 2025 in November. Have a blessed evening. Thank you.
Hi, Nakode here, and welcome to Africa Discourse Channel. Imagine a place where ideas flow freely, like the great rivers of our great continent Africa, where stories about innovation, growth, and then ideas that are painting and shaping Africa are being told. From the Cape to the Sahara, and then from the tech startups happening in Lagos to Nairobi, where the tech innovations are, ADC brings you the stories that matter, the conversations that are inspiring our generation, and then ideas that are transforming Africa. But hey, it's not always serious business here at ADC. We also give you the scoop into the latest trends happening around the continent, untold stories in Africa, and a large dose of fun and entertainment. Join us as we delve in, explore, laugh, share ideas, share stories, and maybe you can find your next big idea on Africa Discourse Channel. Welcome to Africa Discourse Channel. Catch up with us at www.discoursechannel.com and follow us on all our social media pages at Africa Discourse Channel and get the latest scoops into the trends happening in Africa and news about Africa around the globe.